Would you prefer to host this podcast with somebody else?
That's a horrible question. Do you Google yourself regularly?
Big lie there.
Cast your mind back to the start of the Premier League season. Did you really believe that Haaland would be a flop?
People are saying that he's going to win the Golden Boot. That is outrageous. It's so disrespectful to the establishment.
Welcome back, people. This is season 3, episode 2 of the Men's Room podcast, and this one is an interesting one. Me and Rory Jennings always pride ourselves on honesty. Like, we do not lie. It's just one of those things where we're honest with each other, aren't we,
Totally.
Rory?
Transparent.
Yeah, like clear as day.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, soon going to find out, because we have Mark here from Lie Detector Test UK, who's about to kit us up, hook us up to all this wonderful piece of machinery here. And we're going to find out how honest we can be with each other. Because we've got a series of questions, Mr. Jennings.
I'm nervous, Ad.
You shouldn't be nervous, because you just told me you don't lie.
No, I don't lie. I've never told a lie in my life.
Ever told a lie to me?
Never.
No?
Never. 100% honesty.
Well, we're soon going to
Guaranteed.
find out.
I'm confident here. How do you feel?
I'm not confident at all. I think I've lied to you about a couple of things.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
we'll find out. Mark, thank you so much for this.
Pleasure, no problem.
Really appreciate you joining us. This is a fascinating world. Generally speaking, you operate for who? Like, who do you generally find that you are conducting
Who are the
tests on?
clients?
So I'm from South Africa, and there in South Africa we've got nearly between 250 to 300 examiners being in the country that accept polygraph in courts and labour court, and police have got massive units, so it's accepted. In America they do it for the federal government, FBI, CIA, so they can do it for there. They can't use it in certain court cases there. Yeah, in the UK, mainly private people. The biggest user of polygraph in the UK is actually the government. So anyone that wants to research it can go to gov.uk, the government website, type in polygraph, and they talk about sex offender testing. So there was a pilot program run by the Manchester Police Sex Offender Unit a couple of years ago with 5 examiners. I understand now there's over 50 examiners now testing sex offenders on parole. So when they get released from prison, undergo a polygraph test. They use exactly the same equipment I've got, exactly the same software, exactly the same scoring programs and technique to use it. There's about 2,500 examiners around the whole world. Everyone uses the same things. It works. Even the analog, the old system with the paper and ink system, uses the same equipment, same graph readings, which I'll show you more or less what it looks like and things like that. But the biggest users in the UK are the government. So they trust the service and they put it on the government website to say, here in the UK, mainly private people, because of basically the Jeremy Kyle show. So that people watch that and see, test my partner. So you get a lot of calls from private people testing each other, like theft cases. In South Africa, we do a lot of pre-employment testing. So before you start a job, it's much cheaper there to do with the amount of examiners, but they do pre-employment testing, which is part of court, labour court, and it goes in your contract. So they'll say, have you stolen from a workplace? Have you taken drugs in the last 6 months? Did you lie on your application form? There's about 80% unemployment. So you'll get 500 people applying for a reception job because they're desperate for jobs. So people lie on their CV. So the client, because of being cheap, it can test 10 or 15 people on a polygraph to see who can I trust. So they test him. Hey, did you lie on your CV? Have you taken any drugs? Have you stolen at a workplace? So they trust that service, and then it's in your contract.
Can you imagine having your CV examined to that level?
Who doesn't lie on their CV?
Every insurance company has got it in your insurance contract, because with all the insurance fraud. So if you're telling me that you had a traffic light and you drove into the back of him, and you say, no, you hit reverse and you drove into me, now who's going to pay? So they say, okay, do a lie detector test.
Hollywood movies have depicted people beating it. I'm fascinated. You see it in Hollywood movies and people walk away into the sunset because they've beaten the polygraph test. As you say, the old sort of paper and ink. Can you beat a polygraph test?
Well, polygraph measures your autonomic nervous system, the things that happen automatically. So if you can train yourself never to react if someone's going to jump out and give you a fright. I mean, you said you've been to South Africa before when you're in Johannesburg and you're feeling fearful. You go around there, you're quite nervous.
Yeah.
You can walk in London outside at night and you're nervous, and you think if someone jumps out with a gun or a knife and says, give me your money, you're going to react. So trying to beat a polygraph where you don't know what questions are coming up to see not to react, that's not normal. So when we do the test, we ask you lots of what we call baseline questions. Questions where you tell the truth and tell a lie. And the software's got millions of sort of data samples and studies from 100 years of polygraph built in. So the software, besides the software, can sort of determine based on algorithms, if you're trying to cheat the test, we've also got equipment and the examiners. I've been an examiner for May will be 19 years. I've done over 17,000 tests. So you've got experience of looking. And there's certain things, like if you go on the internet, type in how to beat a polygraph, they'll say to you, well, if you lie, you are going to react. You can't sort of stop that, but try and trick the examiner on all the other questions. So where they would show you sort of responses, how the graphs look like, they'll say when they ask you, are you sitting on a chair, try and make it look like your lie response would be. So people try and move around. So we've got things like this components. This is like a seat pad, which is a motion sensor pad that you sit on. We've also got ones on a chair where you sit with your arm on a chair, picks up the actual name is your anal sphincter, your bum hole. So it sounds a bit gross, but measuring your sitting and
like
movement. So people, so they say to people, when they ask you certain questions, then think sexual thoughts, count backwards in 7 from 100, which is quite difficult to do. Bite your tongue, squeeze your bum muscle, and that's got nerve endings, so it increases your blood pressure. So people try and do all these funny tricks. When I'd say to you, like, are you sitting on a chair? Now they say try and create a lie response, because when they ask you the relevant question, you're going to respond because you're lying, and then he's going to measure sort of a truth sample versus a lie sample. So when the examiner says to you, are you sitting on a chair? And suddenly they see the movement and they say, are you sitting on a chair? They'll go like, yes. And they just won't breathe for like 30 seconds and like trying to create the response. The examiner's looking and thinking, but why would you even do that? And then the questions are in different orders, run up to 5 times over. And there's about 10 to 15 questions where we ask you truth samples. That's 100% questions where you tell the truth. Are you sitting on a chair? Is the light on? Is today Thursday? Questions that are scientifically what your body is doing for the truth.
I think this is something that we've always been exposed to. We're so aware of polygraphs, but without ever being sort of face to face with it. And it's a huge statement, isn't it, from the government that they trust this process with the most dangerous.
Yes, and they would definitely not put it on the government website to say we test the sex offenders if it didn't work, if it was junk science.
Can you tell someone's lying without this? Because your experience of sitting with people that don't lie and lie. Can you just look at someone, ask a question, and just see their body movement without all this?
So you generally get a good opinion because you look at body language. So, but you get people that'll be overconfident. So now if you say go for a job interview, they say don't sit with your legs crossed and your arms crossed because you could be looking defensive. So now I get people coming for a polygraph and they sit like this and they'll stare at you and they don't look away. But the result is based on numerical scores, the scores that are done from the scientific working out. You can't just say, well, the person looks guilty or not, because sometimes I think the person's guilty and they pass, or the other way around. But it's not like we can manipulate. The software scores it automatically. So the software is designed, the examiner can't manipulate the charts. The FBI, everyone uses the exact same software scoring, so it's trusted. But the examiner scores as well to sort of combine it to say, look, human beings score it and the software scores it and make it accurate.
Well, I'm going to see if I can beat it.
Yeah, let's get you.
We're going to see if we can beat it.
Let's get you rigged up and find out if you are truly an honest man. So, Ade, you've got all of the equipment on now. How are you feeling?
I'm nervous.
Looks intense.
No, it is. It is. Like, I've done nothing wrong. But I feel like I have. I feel like I've done something wrong. It's nervous. And what I like is that they've clearly hooked me up to everything. So even if you feel like one part of you is going to be okay, you're not.
So we're measuring everything here. We're measuring
everything.
Sweat.
Yeah.
We've got sweat glands on the fingers there. We've
Pulse,
got heart rate, pulse
rate,
breathing.
blood pressure, breathing.
Everything.
Everything.
All the things that would react if you're under fear.
Yeah.
You don't just get a fright and just your breathing goes up or just your heart.
Yeah.
You're looking for all the reactions every time.
What lies beneath? So whatever's going on in your face now, we have got a look under the bonnet. We know what's going on from within.
Yes.
This is very exciting.
Even the way your hands have to be like this is a bit. You know, like normally you put your hands down your side, don't you? A bit more relaxed. Even this, I feel like my posture's all of a sudden got better.
Yeah. So what we're going to do now, just to let everybody know, Ade, if you're listening to this and you are not exposed to the visuals of what's going on, Ade's now thoroughly hooked up to a lie detector polygraph test. We are going to ask him some questions in a moment. Mark will start to just get some baseline questions to get an insight into the way that Ade reacts to questions that we know the answers to. And then I will take over and start asking Ade some slightly more interesting questions.
How dare you?
All right, so we're going to start with the baseline questions. Is today Thursday?
Yes.
Are you sitting on a chair?
Yes.
Okay, you can go ahead.
Are you nervous about being caught out today?
No.
So that was a lie.
No, it wasn't. But
That was a lie.
I swear to God, it wasn't.
So
Well, it
I'll
was.
show you afterwards. I'll show you
was
the
a lie.
graphs.
Okay.
Okay, sit still. Just hold on. This is
Next
center.
question. Are you an honest person?
No.
Truthful response.
That's a horrible question.
Do you think you're better looking than me?
Yes.
Truthful.
Sorry, 1 second, I can't breathe. Sorry, Rory, it's true though.
Is John Terry a better centre half than Virgil van Dijk?
No.
Truthful.
Should Liverpool sack Jurgen Klopp?
No.
Truthful.
Would you prefer to host this podcast with somebody else?
No. That's such a bad question.
It's truthful, but you need to sit still in the
Okay.
answering questions.
Sorry.
You are terrible at replying to messages. Do you purposefully ignore them?
No.
Lie. Failed.
Dun, dun, dun.
Do you spend a lot of time looking in the mirror?
Yes.
Truthful.
So out of order.
Do you think I talk about Chelsea too much?
Yes.
Truthful.
Luis Garcia's ghost goal, did it cross the line?
No.
Truthful.
Okay, that concludes our test. Overall, been fairly
But generally an honest person.
I'm an honest person.
I'll take that.
Well played.
I was nervous.
Your heart's racing and you haven't even started the questions yet. Okay, let's just get the. I'm just trying to wait for just to get to a readable baseline. Sorry, that might have pushed it up a little bit from that comment.
Oh, really? Are you excited to take this test?
Yes.
Truthful.
Are you planning on telling the truth today?
Yes.
Truthful.
Do you have any secrets you're hiding from me?
No.
Big reaction.
Out of the two of us, do you think you're the better presenter?
No.
Truthful.
Would you trust me to look after your daughter Clementine?
Yes.
Truthful.
Do you Google yourself regularly?
No.
Big lie there. So hold on.
Are you self-conscious about your height?
No.
Lie response.
Is Steven Gerrard better than Frank Lampard?
No.
Truthful.
Right, cast your mind back to the start of the Premier League season. Did you really believe that Haaland would be a flop?
Yes. Erling Haaland will not live up to the expectation. People are saying that he's going to win the Golden Boot. That is outrageous. It's so disrespectful to the establishment.
Truthful.
That's it. That completes our questions. Wow. That was interesting.
Huge.
That was interesting.
Loved it.
A couple of good, interesting
Fascinating,
lies,
isn't it?
truths in there. Yeah.
Yeah, really fascinating. It's great to get an insight into how this process works as well.
Yeah, to see it with all the graphs and to see sort of how each part of where you're hooked up to reacts, I think is the fascinating bit. How they all kind of align.
At
when
exactly
you're-
the same time.
Exactly the same time is interesting. Like Rory saying he's not conscious about his height. And that means he's always been conscious about his height.
So that must be his first lies ever told.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because I told you, I only tell the truth. It's the first time I've ever lied. And it happened to be today on the polygraph.
Yeah. But no, it's going to be interesting to see the results in full. But as you say, normally this is a 2-hour test. And this is obviously a bit of fun. This was us hooked up for 15 or so minutes. Yeah.
No, it's brilliant. Thank you so much for
Pleasure.
coming on as well.
Thanks for
really,
having me.
really was great. One of my favourite episodes.
Honestly, one of my favorite. Where can people get in touch with you if you've got
We'll
these
post
cheating
on the-
husbands and wives that want to
We'll,
find?
we'll put a link on the blog and
Yeah.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah, the link
Okay.
will be in the
The link will
description
be in
below.
the description below, indeed. All right, that wraps up episode 2, season 3 of The Men's Room. Fascinating one. Again, it really is. I am an honest person as well, by the way. Don't believe this. I'm an honest person.
You
I
can't
promise
say
you.
that now.
Well,
You've proved,
No,
you've proved to not be.
it's within context. It's in context. That's what it is. But look, if you are watching this on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Me and Roy will be in the comment section. And if you're downloading this from your podcast, download it from wherever you get your podcast from. We'll see you in the next one.